The Girl Who Opened the Door to Hell. Our story takes place in one of the Arab countries in the Middle East. The protagonist of our story is a 17-year-old girl named Nouran. Nouran is a fan of horror movies, books, and stories. She says, "I enjoy talking about the world of the dead and summoning Jinn, and my story began the day I heard from my chemistry teacher that his grandfather had a collection of books about Jinn and spirit summoning, and when he passed away, his father hid all the books until the day they reached the teacher. However, every time he wanted to read them, something went wrong. Once the electricity went out, another time he heard strange sounds and did not know where they came from. Sometimes he thought the sounds came from underground." My teacher's words fascinated me and made me eager to read these books. Especially in the past 2 days, I had been thinking a lot about these matters and searching the internet for them. Sometimes I would ask my father to take me to the library, hoping to find books about summoning Jinn and the world of the dead, but most of the books I found were either from street vendors or very small libraries. At first, the books captivated me, but ultimately, as usual, in all the stories, the Jinn burned and were destroyed at the end, meaning none of them contained anything real or what I was truly looking for. In the end, I would toss the book aside. Moreover, I lived alone. My parents were divorced, so sometimes I lived with my mother and sometimes with my father. When I was with my father, because of his job, I was often alone at home. I had become used to being alone and had grown to love silence. One day, I went to my chemistry teacher and tried to get one of those books from him. I felt they were fascinating books, real books about the world of Jinn. But the teacher refused and said, "Forget it, it's impossible. The only thing I can do is give you the name of a book, and everything you are looking for can be found in it. But take my advice, you should never read this book." I agreed and said, "Okay, just give me the name of the book, and I will search for it on the internet." The teacher agreed and gave me the name of the book, The Black Magic. As soon as my teacher gave me the name, I started searching. I searched all the city libraries, got exhausted, searched the internet but couldn't find it, and went to street vendors but still couldn't find it. Until one day, I found an article on the internet about this book. The article said that this book is one of the rare and genuine books on the world of Jinn and black magic. It is one of those books that makes your hair stand on end. When you read this book, you realize it is a real book about Jinn, and the reader experiences states that no one else experiences. Hearing this made me extremely curious, and I started searching for the book several times more than before. One day, while I was in the market with my father, I saw a very old library. I asked my father for permission and went inside. I began searching for the book and, strangely enough, found it. The seller told me, "This book is not for play or jokes, it's dangerous. I don't know why you want it." I ignored the seller's words and acted confident. I saw that this was exactly the book the chemistry teacher had mentioned. I thought it would be an old book, but it was actually a stylish leather-bound book with a high price. I paid the amount and left the shop, returning to my father. He asked, "Did you find what you were looking for?" I said, "No, I didn't find it, but I was very happy about buying the book." As soon as I got home, I did not waste time. I lay on the bed and began reading the book. The first part was the introduction, which warned the reader to close all doors and windows and turn on all the lights while reading the book. But I did none of these things and kept all the lights off. The book had several chapters. In the first chapter, it was written that Jinn live in our world secretly. They are present around us, but we cannot see them with our ordinary eyes, although it is possible to see them. According to most people, the best time to see Jinn is from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. because they take advantage of this time to enter our world. To enter our world, they sometimes appear as animals or insects, like dogs, cats, horses, etc. In my opinion, this was all nonsense because my friend has a black cat. It is somewhat scary, but I love it and play with it. Let's continue reading the book to see what it says. It continued that Jinn may speak, you may hear their voice without seeing them. They come in different forms, some tall, some short, some black, some red, or yellow, and some are hybrids, like a rooster's body with a goat's head. They follow different religions, Christian, Jewish, Muslim. Some have 2 eyes, some 1, and others even 20 eyes on one face. Because the book was very fascinating, I quickly read it and reached chapter 2, titled They Eat Like Us. They share 3 things with humans: eating, drinking, and lust. But their eating habits are different. They eat bones, their food must be without salt, and they drink sea water. They reproduce, have families, and love to drink blood. Some male Jinn fall in love with human girls. They die too, but after a very long life, perhaps centuries. Reading this information made my heart race, and I was excited. I wondered whether this information was true or false. I imagined their forms: short, blood-drinking, scary shapes, and I thought that since we cannot see them, they might be sitting next to me, unnoticed. I continued reading until I reached a documentary-style part, which bored me because it discussed countries famous for magic. I wasn't looking for that, I wanted something specific. I continued reading until I reached the part that said invoking God's name with Bismillah al-Rahman al-Rahim when summoning Jinn or feeling their presence. I started reading the book quickly until I reached chapter 9, titled Etiquette of Hosting Jinn. It said if you were brave enough and feared nothing, you must offer a gift to please the Jinn. The size of the gift should match the magnitude of your wish, e.g., prepare 1 meal without salt, light 11 candles, burn incense, take a rope, tie 11 knots, and draw a circle. At that moment, I was very excited. I didn't just want to read, I wanted to do everything the book said. I got up and started preparing everything. The book mentioned a four-letter word that I had to repeat continuously while preparing. I felt I was creating a huge trouble, but I continued because I wanted to see what would happen. As I was finishing, suddenly someone knocked on the door. I was a little scared. I came out of my room and saw that my father was not home. I asked, "Who is it?" No one answered. I asked again, still no answer. I opened the door and saw no one. I closed the door quickly, thinking maybe I imagined it, and returned to my room to continue. I felt addicted to the book. I couldn't stop reading. At that moment, the knocking seemed like a warning not to continue, but I told myself, "It's nothing, just a knock." I continued reading until I reached a line that said, "During the summoning ritual, the door may be knocked, do not open it, because knocking is a sign of the Jinn's presence, and you must not allow them in. You are not qualified for this." Oh no! What have I done? Why didn't I read this line before opening the door? Initially scared, I then told myself, "Nouran, wasn't this what you wanted?" I thought it was good that I opened the door, it meant someone had entered. At the same time, my father came home, and I went to him. I was relieved to be with him to forget the trouble I had caused. It was around 12:30 a.m. My father said he was going to sleep. His presence calmed me a bit. My curiosity returned, and I decided to continue reading. While reading, my father entered and called me several times, "Nouran. Nouran," I replied. "What? What?" My father said, "Are you paying attention? Get up." I said, "I'm not getting up." "Did you just call me Nouran?" My father looked at me, laughed, and asked, "What are you reading? Why do you look pale?" I said I was reading a horror story, and he scared me, even calling me Nouran. My father said, "While reading such nonsense, your thoughts will be disturbed. Stop it. I want to eat suhoor, tomorrow I will fast. Will you eat with me?" I said no, but offered to prepare food for him. He said no, just put the book aside and sleep. I wondered why he called me Nouran. What was happening? Was I imagining things, or did he really call me that? Perhaps it was a sign to stop reading the book. I continued reading, and then I heard the building's front door open. I ran to the kitchen to inform my father, but I saw the door was opening, and I heard a very loud scream. I screamed too but didn't faint. I fell to the floor and couldn't get up. At that moment, my father entered, saw me on the floor, and asked what happened. I said I heard a loud scream, got scared, and fell. He tried to calm me. I decided to sleep a bit and lay on the bed. In my dream, everything that had happened during the day played like a movie. I saw that when the door was knocked, I opened it and asked who was there. In reality, no one was there, but in my dream, 11 short black creatures were behind the door and entered as soon as it opened. I saw myself in the dream, unaware of their entry. The creatures changed forms, some crawled on the floor, some grew very tall, some entered my father's room, some the bathroom, and some mine. I saw my father saying he wanted suhoor. I felt as if I were flying, seeing everything from above, including the summoning ritual where I repeated the 4-letter word. There will be no this inserted audio clip if you buy the software license key or activation key. As I repeated it, more creatures appeared, all resembling me, holding the same book, smiling at me. The more I repeated the word, the more creatures appeared until the room was full. I reached the part where I had fallen near the door, scared, and my father entered. At that moment, a woman entered the house, truly the devil. She had large eyes, a sewn mouth, no hair, and moved on hands and feet in a terrifying way. I felt sick and went to sleep again, dreaming the same events repeated, with all creatures surrounding my bed, watching me with frightening smiles. While lying there, the creatures entered my body one by one. I felt something moving inside me. I woke to my father calling, asking why I was screaming. I said I had a nightmare and went back to sleep. It was 1 a.m. I was confused and went to the cupboard with the summoning tools. Everything was in place. I went to the balcony. It was really midnight. My father came in, wanting to eat suhoor. I want to fast tomorrow. Do you want to eat with me? I said, Father, didn't you eat suhoor a few moments ago? He said, who ate suhoor? Is something wrong with you, girl? I'm going downstairs now to get some milk from the shop. Do you need anything? I said, no, thank you. I thanked him, but I myself was in another world. What is happening? He himself said a few moments ago that he was going to eat suhoor. Why are the scenes repeating again now? After my father left the room, I went to the cupboard where the belongings and books were, to throw them away. When I opened the cupboard, I saw that the items were not in their places. I turned back and saw that all the items were on the bed. From the shock that hit me, I screamed. I sat on the bed and started reading the book. Every page that appeared in front of me, I read. I reached a point where it said warning, anyone who summons a Jinn. The ending of the story is no longer by their will. And anyone who summons a Jinn can no longer stop the Jinn's meetings with them. They stay with you until you go mad and see unreal things. Your home is like a pasture for them from which they feed, and they remain in your home until the day they destroy you and everyone who is in that house. Upon hearing these terrifying words, I continued reading and started saying that 4-letter word, but this time without wool, and I repeated that word dozens of times. I started sweating and my heartbeat went down. In the meantime, I heard the sound of the house door opening and closing. I was waiting for my father to open the room door and for everything I had seen in the dream to be repeated, but no matter how long I waited, he didn't come. I said I would go see my father myself. I got up to open the room door when I heard the sound of knocking on my room door. I said, "Father, are you back?" I heard a voice from afar that told me, "No, my daughter, I've been here for a long time. It's 1 a.m. now and I want to go to the shop to get milk so I can eat suhoor and fast tomorrow. Do you want anything?" I glanced at the clock and saw it was 1 a.m. Then I heard the sound of the house door. My father said, "Who is it in the middle of the night?" I wanted to tell my father not to open the door, but my voice wouldn't come out. I came out of the room and said, "Father, did you open the door?" My father said, "Yes, but there was no one." I told myself that this time my father let them into the house. I turned back toward my room. I didn't want to go out, nor did I want to understand what was going to happen. I went and sat on my bed and waited for what was going to happen. I was waiting for them to come out from anywhere, and that is exactly what happened. I saw a black, wrinkled hand with long nails come out from under the bed, pull me, and throw me onto the floor. I started screaming, but no one heard my voice. When I fell on the floor, I saw those same creatures, short and black with thick hair and fiery eyes. I could no longer endure it. I didn't know whether I was asleep or awake or whether I had fainted at all. I didn't know where I was. I had a very vague and strong feeling, a feeling as if I was in the real world and at the same time dreaming. I felt that I was tied to the bed and my voice was choked and I couldn't speak, but I could see them around me, smiling at me in a very terrifying way. Although I felt that they had tied my body to the bed, I tried several times to raise my hand until I managed to move my hand. I could hear their voices repeating that four-letter word. That word was incomprehensible, but for them it surely had a specific meaning, as if they were ordering me to repeat it. I was thinking whether I should say that word or not. I can't speak at all. They were trying to put that book into my hand, but something seemed to be preventing it. I was saying, "God, help me. God, save me." Suddenly I heard a sound from afar. This sound was familiar to me, its words were familiar. What is this sound? This is the sound of the Quran. I realized that this sound was a way of salvation for me, as if I were in hell and this sound had come to save me. My lips started to move, and along with the sound of the Quran I too was repeating the words, but without my voice coming out. Suddenly these creatures around me let out such a loud scream that from the intensity of fear I felt I could no longer hear anything. The sound of their screams burned my ears. I no longer heard the sound of the Quran, but I kept repeating the final verse, and I tried to escape, but my body was locked. I wanted to call my father, but my voice wouldn't come out, yet I kept repeating that verse. Those creatures started running, and their bodies gradually became smaller. I saw all their movements when I heard the sound of the bathroom door. I saw that most of them were going toward the bathroom and their bodies were still getting smaller. All of these events happened with the repetition of that verse. Now I was unconsciously repeating this verse, after repeating that four-letter word that had caused all these troubles. I forced myself up and dragged myself out of my room and saw that all of them were running around the house and most of them were heading toward the bathroom. I dragged myself to the bathroom door and saw those creatures, how small they had become, and they were just running. In the meantime, I saw that the bathroom mirror was shaking violently, and suddenly a black-colored substance came out of it and the mirror fell and shattered. Those creatures that looked like me, as I said, their bodies became smaller. Here I felt my body becoming lighter and something was coming out of me, something was separating. When they were leaving my body, they ran toward the bathroom and disintegrated. My father was by my side, crying. A friend of his, a religious sheikh, was also there. Then I lost consciousness. When I regained consciousness, my father and his friend were over me. The sheikh smiled and said, "What did you do, Nouran? Don't you know reading these things is wrong?" I burned the book and all associated tools. I had been reading the Quran over you for over 5 hours because you tried to throw yourself from the balcony. Then he told my father to pay more attention to me. I apologized and promised not to repeat it. I recovered, but the effects of the book remained. Nightmares haunt me. I sleep only 2 hours a night. The scenes I saw will not leave my mind, and the repeated moments will never be forgotten.